Better. The invitation during this time of breaking the 10 commandments is to take what resonates with you today. Leave the rest under your seat, maybe for another day or for another person. But take today what resonates for you. And today we step into the commandment of you shall not steal. So each Sunday I've begun with a little bit of vocabulary so that I have a good understanding of what's being said, of what's really being said. So when we think of stealing, what is that? What is that to you? To steal. Taking something that doesn't belong to you. We would probably all agree with that. So when is it okay to steal? Well, now we celebrate when our favorite baseball team steals a base. We cheer for that. We might steal into a room to surprise somebody with a good wish. Maybe on their birthday, we quietly go in and shout, "Happy birthday!" Or we might lament the years of life stealing by, slowly moving past, one by one, little by little. But you shall not steal. And when we think of the literal context, of course, we would all agree banks should not be robbed. Shoplifting shouldn't happen. But what about stealing time? When we take that extra 20 minutes on our lunch break, when we pad our expense reports or stretch deductions on tax returns. And going back to the days of Moses, of course, you shouldn't steal has always been either in the consciousness or on the books of laws. Stealing was just as serious in the day of Moses as it is today. In fact, if someone stole an ox and was caught, they had to pay back 5 ox. So the punishment was really deep. It was a heavy punishment to have to pay back 5 ox. Today, if someone steals, there's a whole judicial process that goes on. A costly, lengthy process. The person is removed from society and often put in jail to pay their penance. So imagine today if a person stole and was caught and was required to pay back 5-fold. What kind of deterrent might that be? It might work. You shall not steal. The act of stealing is completely out of harmony with our law of compensation. And what we put out into the universe returns to us, is that law of compensation. What we put out comes back to us. Breaking the 10 Commandments, Eric Butterworth says, he describes our desire for shiny, sparkly things, right? We all like things that sparkle, they grab our attention. And we move from just desiring them into a culture of get, and get more. And sometimes we're enticed by the world to take some shortcuts to get those shiny, sparkly things. We might take someone's idea, we might skim off the top, we might stretch our deductions. And when we remember that life is truly lived from the inside out, then we remember the enoughness of the world, the enoughness of our God, the unending supply of our goodness. We never have to take what isn't ours. When we realize and hold fast to the belief of abundance, of plenty in life, we don't have to take what belongs to our neighbor, to the company we work for. And when we move from that consciousness of lack and not enough, we move to a consciousness of plenty. And we begin to shift our thinking from that get, to give, and give more. Because we know that not only is there enough to fulfill and meet all of my needs, but all of yours too. And all of those around us, there's more than enough to meet our needs. And then we begin to live our life from the inside out, inspired by what is inside us rather than what we're grasping for outside of us. Those things that are fun for a while until the next iteration of an iPhone comes along, right? Every year, bigger, fancier, does more, costs more. Every year, they come with something new to attract our attention. Oh, and gosh, I have my iPhone too. But that's not where my inspiration is. When our inspiration comes from the inside, then we share that outside. And we realize and remember the enoughness of the world. And looking at this 8th commandment, you shall not steal, I was compelled to look at Emmett Fox. And Emmett Fox says, you shall not steal translates into you cannot steal. Well, of course I can steal. I can take Steve's briefcase and walk out the door and be gone. I could pick up a handbag on my way out. I could steal. But sit with that for a minute. That you shall not steal translates to you cannot steal. So here's what I learned Emmett Fox means. At any time, I could shoplift, I could take what doesn't belong to me. I'm physically able to take something that doesn't belong to me. It belongs to someone else. But stealing is in conflict with our fundamental way of being. It's in conflict with my truth. It's in conflict with who I really am. And when we realize that we are unable to steal, perhaps we stop trying to acquire what really isn't ours to have. Stealing is also in conflict with the consciousness of being. Our consciousness of being. And we can't keep anything for which we do not hold the consciousness. Now that's a lot, because it's kind of contrary to the way we really think and the way we live. Yes, in my human world, I'm perfectly capable of walking into a store and shoplifting, but I cannot keep what I do not hold in my consciousness. If I hold a consciousness of poverty or lack, I cannot hold wealth. Money might flow into my life and out. Gone, done, in careless ways perhaps. If I have a consciousness of illness, I cannot hold good health. I have to have the consciousness. If we're holding the consciousness of bitterness, vengefulness, I cannot keep love. Oh, and if I'm holding the consciousness of love, oh my gosh, my heart overflows to everyone. That power of love can't be stopped if I'm holding the consciousness of love. And my friends, we cannot fool the universe. We cannot say nice words and say, oh yes, I love, I'm holding love, and be feeling all of the opposite of love in our mind and in our body. We can't fool the world, the universe. So not only do we have to think it, we have to feel it and believe it and know it. When we hold the consciousness of love, we send that out everywhere we go, everything we do, everything we say, and that's what comes back to us. We can hold that. So we cannot keep what is not in alignment with our consciousness. So what is in us is critically important to fulfilling this 8th commandment. You shall not steal. You cannot keep what you do not have the consciousness to hold. Emmett Fox goes on to say, you cannot steal is the essence of the law of being, which sums up all the laws of life, he says. Whatever comes to us, whatever happens to us, whatever surrounds us, will be in accordance with the consciousness we hold. So if you feel peaceful, now that's your consciousness. If you feel contentment, that's your consciousness. And yes, we are co-creators with the divine. And yes, we are impacted by the consciousness of all 8 billion people on the planet. So we never point a finger and say, oh, look what I'm doing to myself. We show grace, we show kindness and compassion towards ourselves, and we shift our consciousness. We grow from our experiences and we expand our consciousness into our truth, which is true for ourselves, that Christ light, that divine light is our true, unquestionable essence. And then we build upon that very fundamental foundation. We do the healing that needs to be done. We do the forgiving that needs to be done. We transform our thinking with all our spiritual practices. Then we live in that law of being, and we are surrounded by what we hold in our consciousness. What comes to us is the beauty of our consciousness. What happens to us is in harmony with the divine of our consciousness. We can't really escape it. Whatever is in our consciousness guides our thinking. So if I wake up in the morning and rather than saying, good morning, God, I say, good God, morning. If that's my consciousness, guess what my day is going to be? But if I wake up with that zeal that we talked about in the daily word, and then we build on that, and we remember who and what we are and what is guiding us, and remember that we are loved. We are loved because we are made in the image of love. That's how we're going to build our days. If lack is our consciousness, and we can look at any cup, no matter how nearly full it might be, all we're going to see is the empty space. We know people like that, don't we? That's never us. But we see that. And if our lives are driven by fear, rage, anger, or retribution, or are our lives fueled by peacefulness, by grace, by compassion, by the power of love. So what is in our consciousness will likely happen. And what is not in our consciousness likely cannot happen. So we become aware of what we think. We become aware of the feelings, and we dig deeper into what we truly believe. The depth of us. And we might see people short term get away with that human act of stealing, but eventually thieves are caught. In time, untruth is revealed. We shall not steal. We cannot keep what is not in alignment with our consciousness. This is the letter of the law, and this is what we hold each Sunday when we speak our third unity principle. Remember what it is? We are co-creators with God, actively creating our world through our thoughts held in mind, through the feelings that we hold, through the beliefs that are beneath it all. We are co-creators. And we remember that through all of these commandments that we've broken thus far, and those that are still waiting, that we let all we do be done with love.